All right, and welcome to Bulls Digest. This is the post game to the Chicago Bulls win against the Atlanta Hawks tonight. They take care of the Atlanta Hawks for the second time this season, do the Chicago Bulls 136 to 122. And really going through some of the key takeaways from tonight's game. I think that this was really a team effort from this team. I talked about this in the pregame video that the last time this team played, I think 9 players were in double figures. Tonight for the Chicago Bulls, you had 7 players that were in double figures. And so I think that that is really the key takeaway from tonight's game is just a complete team effort on the offense and the defensive end. And so let's go ahead and jump into the box score and start to talk about really some of the key takeaways today. And so I think to start off with just the MVPs from tonight, I want to start with Josh Giddey. And so one of the things I talked about with Josh Giddey was just that it was about confidence. And because, you had saw that he just really was struggling with the confidence and you could see it in the body language. But tonight, you see him out there smiling. He looked like he was definitely enjoying it tonight. Look, he had 18 points. He had 6 rebounds. He had 8 assists and he had 2 blocks. He had a great block actually against Dyson Daniels at the rim, which was reviewed to see if it was a foul. So that was terrific athleticism shown by Josh Giddey and a 1-2 on the defensive end. So that was great to see with Josh Giddey. And then the one thing that I noticed in today's game is he just really focused on the things that, he just does well, which is rebound. Then also to just distribute the basketball. And I think the opportunities for points came along. He did make some strong drives to the basket and he knocked down some shots. And so that was great to see. And it definitely helps when the rest of the team was knocking down some shots too as well. So certainly a good job from Josh Giddey in setting the table. So certainly want to go ahead and give him his flowers today. So he played very well. Next up, I want to give Zach Lavine his credit tonight. Look, 26 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Now I know he did have 6 turnovers today, but he was +5 and he was 11 of 18 from the field. And he once again made some tough shots. And I just like the place that Zach Lavine is in right now. He is playing off of others. He's allowing them to go ahead and get theirs or eat out here. And he's just been just really the beneficiary of just stepping up when this Chicago Bulls team has needed it. And he was great for us tonight as far as holding this lead and really keeping the Atlanta Hawks down. So Zach Lavine continues to play well. And if there is a trade value that's needing to be raised, he's certainly raising it each game out. So he played very well. Vooch tonight, another good effort with him. Look, another double-double. And what was most impressing about, just Vooch and what he did was just, his 18 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks. He was +5 and impressive is what I meant to say. So Vooch impressive tonight with what he was able to do. And so I liked him going down to the box and really just establishing this post presence. I think that was huge for the Chicago Bulls tonight. And I love that he continues to do that because this is something that he didn't do last season. I think he fell in love a lot with the 3-point shot. Tonight he was going inside and that helped us really establish an identity. And there were some beautiful back cuts off of what Vooch did. And so it's a much easier game, especially when we're struggling to shoot the 3 ball and you have Vooch that you can cut off of. So good thing for Vooch establishing himself tonight. Next up, another key takeaway for me is going to be just some of these younger players. And so let me start with we finally see Modest Buzelis play. We had been saying that. We were wondering, look, there was no Patrick Williams. Torrey Craig was coming in questionable. He didn't play today. I talked about the numerous injuries in the pregame show. And then, look, here he is. Modest Buzelis, 20 minutes tonight, but he had 9 points. He was 1 of 4 from downtown, but he had some monster dunks and drives to the rim. And one of the things that Stacey King talks about throughout the broadcast is that Modest Buzelis and all these other younger players seem to be showing growth every time they get into the game, which suggest that the Chicago Bulls need to play them. And also, too, they talked about this in the broadcast with the Chicago Bulls being in this interesting place because they're in between where they have some players that maybe they would like to move on from. And then you have these younger players that you're probably need to pivot to. And so we finally see that you prioritize the youth movement. You get a chance to see that they are deserving of minutes. And so Modest Buzelis finally plays. And quiet as it's kept, he actually outplayed the number 1 pick in the draft for Atlanta. So Modest Buzelis shows up and shows out tonight. Next up, Dalen Terry. So Dalen Terry, look, we had all been wondering about Dalen Terry throughout the offseason, and it was really the questions about his offense. He looks very confident, and I like the fact that he is not settling for the three-point shot. In fact, he's driving to the basket, and he's getting contact and getting the calls there. And also, too, he is knocking down the three-point shot, and he is letting people know. And I like what was said by Casey Johnson throughout the broadcast, where Dalen Terry wants to be known as an irritant, and I absolutely agree that that is what Dalen Terry is becoming, along with Julian Phillips. Like, they are the players out there that are going to bring that, just kind of knack on the defensive end, really get into players. And I think that that's something that this team needs as they continue to really find out what they have. And so this was great tonight to see the younger players play. And lastly, look, I have got to give Jalen Smith some credit. I said that, look, if you're going to move on from Vooch, then you certainly need to see what you have with Jalen Smith. And I had said, like, throughout the preseason and also, too, throughout this season as well, we're seeing that Jalen Smith, when you give him some minutes, and obviously when he's healthy, because I think that that was one of the things that maybe was tough for him initially, was just the knee injuries. When you see that he's getting some playing time, look, 13 points tonight, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. He was +9, but more importantly, he was 4 of 5 shooting the three-point shot today. And so that is always a great sign when you have Jalen Smith being able to step out and knock down some three-point shots. So look, the youth movement, they really stood out today. They are MVPs along with Josh Giddey out there tonight. I think that that was really the story of the game. And then with Ayo Dosunmu, loved what he did. He had to start tonight, and I think it had to be done because he is great against the Atlanta Hawks, and it makes sense. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. He was a plus in the box score as well. And he was 8 of 10 from the field. So he did a terrific job, I think, as far as going out there and being efficient tonight. And that's a good sign considering that, he's gotten off to the slow start. But I mentioned that he's been heating up. So good for him tonight to see that. And then Kobe White, 20 points. He had 9 assists, 6 rebounds. He had 2 steals. He was +18. He was behind Josh Giddey, which that's another thing, too, I wanted to note with Josh Giddey. He was +19 in the plus-minus, and actually he led the starters there. So a great job with the efficiency tonight. Kobe White follows right behind him after a slow start. And I like the fact that, look, he had 9 assists. You had Josh Giddey, he had 8 assists. And then you have Ayo, who had 8 assists as well. Great just at distributing the basketball. And I believe the Chicago Bulls had 36 assists altogether, which I think either ties the season high for them or it might be the season high. Either way, they were super efficient tonight, and that is exactly what you want to see from your basketball team. And so let's go ahead and just really jump into the team box score before I go ahead and jump into the chat for tonight. So again, a great win from the Chicago Bulls. And so as we get to these numbers, and here we go. So bringing those up, so the first thing that really jumps out to me is that the rebounds were pretty identical. Look, 42-41 for the Hawks tonight. They do win in the rebound totals. And then I talked about how the Chicago Bulls were pretty good in the second chance opportunities in game 1 that they played against the Atlanta Hawks. So 42-41 there. As far as the turnovers, we had 19 turnovers today. So that's not a good sign, but still it doesn't hurt us. 11-19 there in that aspect with the Atlanta Hawks having 11. And then when it came down to fast break basketball, this is something that we took advantage of last game out against the Atlanta Hawks. 26 27-12. The Bulls win that, so they did a great job. I talked about the pace of play between both of these teams, with the Chicago Bulls being 1, the Atlanta Hawks being 2, so very similar in that standpoint. We did get beat up in the paint yet again. Surprise, surprise. 70-50. The Atlanta Hawks beat us up there. But I talked about how they do have some bigs, and they did a great job as far as rolling to the rim, getting some alley-oops and things like that, so give them credit. As far as the block shots, like, that's how you can tell our defense was a lot better as a team tonight, because 10-4 block shots goes to the Bulls. So a terrific job being active at the rim and just giving a lot of resistance there. That's what we need to see every single game out. And then as far as the shooting percentage today, look, 44.9 from 3, 57% I think is what we shot from the field here. And you see Atlanta really struggled from shooting the ball from deep. I think that was key. Like Trae Young and these guys had some looks, but they couldn't knock it down. So the Chicago Bulls take care of business today. That is the quick post game. Get ready to jump into the chat and see what we got. So we got D-Law over here, and he is saying Dominique Wilkins called out Modest for sitting in the corner instead of moving to the basket. Yeah, I mean, I think that I see that a lot, with Modest Buzelis, but, I do love the fact that he's been comfortable out there. It looks like that he is really in a situation where he now knows where he needs to be, I think, on the offense and the defensive end. And for whatever reason, yes, he does tend to stand in the corner. But if you go back to that New York game, there was a time where he slashed off that. That's where Dalen Terry hit him. He got that nice dunk. I think he's understanding a little bit more with the spacing. And there was a time, too, where he went to the basket and he got it rejected. And then there was also the time where he was getting ready to go and he traveled. But I think we're going to see a lot more of that once Modest continues to get some reps. He continues to be comfortable, and I think he just continues to trust this process, and Billy Donovan as well, because you got to live with those mistakes. And as we start to live with those mistakes, I think we start to see just more of Modest Buzelis, some of the stuff that we've seen in the summer league. So good stuff right there. So next up, let's see what D-Law says as well. He says, I watched the game on Atlanta's FanDuel broadcast. Yeah, it's wild sometimes. Every now and then I will jump onto, the NBA Pass or whatever, and check out some of the other broadcasts and see what they're talking about when it comes to our team and stuff like that. Giddey played well, grabbed some rebounds. Absolutely. So Giddey was active, and I think that when you're playing basketball, I think the one thing that you can really control is the things that you do well. And that's what Josh Giddey has to do. Tonight, I think he did a terrific job in just getting active as far as getting to those rebounds. And I feel like as you get active, you get comfortable there. I think that the game really starts to come to you. And that's what we saw tonight with Josh Giddey. It seemed to be a little bit more of a natural flow for him tonight. And I think that is really what he's going to have to concentrate on, because right now, we know it's kind of a mess right now in Chicago with the roster construction and a lot of other stuff going on. And I think that Josh Giddey, along with Zach Lavine, along with Vooch, like, these are players that we had a lot of storylines around. And it's just that, can they go ahead and kind of overcome some of the things that they have been facing going into the season? And I think that Zach Lavine and Vooch, they've been locked in, they've been focused. And I think that Josh Giddey has just got to get confident. He's got to stay focused. And I think things will eventually work out for him tonight. But a great comment there. I think that, yes, he has to get into doing the things that he does well. And that's rebounding, assisting the ball. I think the offense will come to him. So good job for Josh Giddey tonight. And like I said, he was plus 19, which that led. And so that's really good for him in efficiency. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys out there. I got my boy from Chicago Bulls Central out here. Dalen is growing in so many ways on both sides of the ball. He absolutely is, man, and I appreciate you hopping over here. These guys do some great work. Make sure you check out Hayes and these guys out here. They definitely lay it down, man, when it comes to these Chicago Bulls. But I think you're right on when it comes down to Dalen growing in many ways. I feel that with Dalen Terry, I love the fact that, he's locked in defensively, but I like the fact that he is trusting his offensive ability. Like, he is not shying away from shooting the basketball. Again, I love that one drive that we saw in the game where he drives, he's hunting contact, he's knocking down threes, he's giving the bench 3-point signs and sticking his tongue out and stuff like that. Like, you could tell that he really wants to come out there and be an impact. And I love that assist that he had to Modest, giving him the binocular look out there. So that's what we want to see from Dalen Terry. And I think that between him and Julian Phillips, I've said this before, I think like Kobe White and then also too Ayo Dosunmu, those are players out of this younger core that I'm like, I definitely want to keep them around. I definitely want to build with them. I feel like Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, these guys are starting to push their way out there too, as players that I'm saying to myself that as we're building, I would like to keep those players. So I'm glad to see that Dalen Terry, you see that work that he's put in out here with, DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Durant, and all these guys like that. You see that he's been putting in the work over the summer. So great job to him today. So with that being said, guys, I know we don't have very much in the chat, but I just want to come over here and pop real quick and give you guys a quick little live post game here. I know we're getting ready to do a video about this one, but the Chicago Bulls take care of business. I think anytime that they get a win, it's great. But more importantly, I was just like, look, if they get beat by 30, as long as they continue to really play the right way and play these younger players, that's all I wanted to see. So thank you, Billy Donovan, for actually playing our younger players tonight. I feel like that's really what it's all about for the long term for this team. So anyhow, I want to thank everybody out there for tuning in to us. Make sure that you go ahead and press that like and subscribe and check us out on the channel. So we drop some videos daily about the Chicago Bulls. And so as usual, even though, we're getting hyped about this Atlanta Hawks win, I don't care. I'm still saying go Bulls. And I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace.